So hello again, I'm Tony Neck, Principal of the Sound Healing Academy. In this video I'd like to talk about how we can work in a particular way with certain types of recorded sounds alongside the live acoustic sounds that we generally use in our integral sound healing practice to enhance the effectiveness of the whole experience, not only to help people to resolve some of the physical, mental, emotional health challenges that they may be facing, but also to enable people to step into greater kind of aliveness, creativity, and enable people to have a more transcendental state of awareness, of conscious awareness arising from this. And so one of the best ways of doing this is to work with binaural beat technology, which is typically recorded sounds that are transmitted and played through typically headphones such as these ones, ideally for the best experience. These are open-backed headphones, so you're not actually cutting out the sound, you get a more expansive kind of experience of it. And that can be played simply off a smartphone or a tablet, or obviously out of a computer or your own hi-fi system and so on. And often this technology comes in CDs as well as it being downloadable. Now, so what's going on here? Okay, so typically what happens is that the human being can hear the acoustic sounds in a frequency range from about 20 hertz up to about 20,000 hertz. As we get older, that range for the high frequency diminishes, but that's a typical range that we start off with. And those kind of external acoustic sounds are experienced in the cerebral cortex of our brain and in the usual way. But the way that the binaural beat technology is used is that we work with different frequencies going into different ears. So there's a carrier wave frequency which could be typically, say, 100 or 200 or 400 hertz going into one ear, and then there's a difference of typically somewhere between 4 or 8 or 10 hertz going into the other ear. So if it's 100 going in here, it would be 104 going in, or 200, 204, 400, 404. So there's this 4 hertz difference. Now, that cannot be heard audibly by our brain system as human beings. But typically what happens is that there's an auditory processing part of the lower brainstem that's called the superior olivary complex that is able to interpret the different signals and integrate the different signals coming into the ear into one system. And this is able to interpret and pick up that difference, that in this case the 4 hertz difference between the two frequencies coming in. And it actually creates a sensation of this kind of wah-wah or the wobbling effect that you get with around the 4 hertz. So it's not actually heard in the normal way audibly, and that sound doesn't exist physically in the space anyway. It's just interpreted through this part of the lower brainstem, which is part of the really old part of the brain that in terms of neurobiological evolution is one of the oldest. It's typically around 300 million years old. Now, I've got a lot of this information from Dr. Eben Alexander, who used to practice as a neurosurgeon until he had a near-death experience, and where he actually heard a whole lot of sounds in his near-death experience that took him up the different dimensions until he experienced this kind of core state of being, the force of God, if you want to call that, the one source of life, as a primordial sound of Om, as the expression in sound of the love and light associated at the core, at this core center of life, of the universe, of the creative impulse. And what he's found is that the use of binaural beats, particularly in fact through this company that he's closely associated with called Sacred Acoustics, enables all of this to happen. So I'm drawing on his experience here, which I think is really profound. And so what we can do then is to work with the binaural beat technology and integrate it into our integral sound healing practice in a very effective way. So for example, we can be having people listening to some of the sounds from Sacred Acoustics through the headphone while they're lying on a therapy couch. And that's the most effective way, is to wear the headphones, so you're really getting this the effectiveness of the binaural beats, the differences in the frequencies to be experienced in this way. But also, what they've done in Sacred Acoustics is to layer the carrier frequencies and the beats in a very effective way. And they're also using isochronic tones, which means that you can actually have a similar effect. It's not quite as strong as the binaural beats, but quite a similar effect without actually having to wear headphones. So you could be lying on a therapy couch or in a group of people having these tones being played through speakers and still have a very similar experience like this. And then if we combine that with other instruments such as gongs and drums and so on, then we can have a really amazing kind of sound healing experience for people that's deeply profound and deeply liberating as well. So here we now have Jane as the client lying down on a therapy couch, and as you can see, she's got these headphones already on. And so what I've done is to download the music from Sacred Acoustics onto the iPhone that I've got here. Of course, it could be any smartphone or tablet, or you could play it, as a CD or whatever through your hi-fi system or whatever. But and then I've also got it not wireless, but also with a cable, because the sound quality is going to be even better through a cable than through wireless. So that's why we've got that. And now they actually offer a whole variety of different tracks that you can use. Okay, so there's one series of downloads that you can get. You obviously have to buy them. That's particularly useful in a therapeutic situation, either one-to-one like this or in groups of people being played through speakers, which is you're kind of licensed to use in a therapeutic context as well. And so it's called whole states, or you could then get the individual tracks for that whole alpha, whole delta, and whole theta. So what we're going to play here is that in the whole states, you get two versions. You get a 20-minute recording of alpha, theta, and delta. So they're all 20 minutes, and you get them both with a verbal kind of suggestion about relaxing and so on and letting go, or you get them non-verbal as well. So typically what we're going to do here is to work with the client to put on in this case, the theta non-verbal. So this is typically in the range of 4 to 8 hertz into the non-verbal. Play this while the client is lying and receiving those sounds, and then playing other sounds alongside that, such as the gong and the drums and crystal bowls and all these other instruments. And you can use your voice too. So it's an experience of the recorded binaural beats going through the headphones plus the live sounds. Because these are open back headphones, it also means that there's also going to be more scope for the acoustic sounds to be coming in. And this creates a really powerful effect. Now, of course, if I do this just now in the video, you're not actually going to be able to hear the binaural beats that are actually going through the headphones. So I'm not going to go any further now with this part of the video to demonstrate that in any way. What I'd like to do is to then show how we can then have a client still lying here, but also to have the sounds coming through the speakers that we've got just behind the camera there, and to be playing, I'll just play the gong in this case. It could be a variety of other instruments, just to give you the effect. And also, what we're going to do is we're going to enhance the effectiveness even further by putting on the Therify system that we have, where we've got a whole series of ultrasonic frequencies coming through. So these are sound frequencies coming through that are above 20,000 hertz, and these are all. There's actually 18 different harmonics of the golden mean ratio coming through here. So, and it's coming through a scalar energy system and a Tesla system to create a very powerful bioactive field. It's actually using about 500,000 volts, which sounds like a lot, which it is, and it creates a very strong magnetic field. And it means that you can't actually have anything with metal inside this field, directly inside the field, or anything electronic, which is why we can't actually use the headphones when we've got the Therify on. And so if you take the headphones off and just rely on the isochronic tones of the recording to have a similar kind of effect. And the effectiveness of the isochronic tones is massively enhanced by the Therify system. So you get a really powerful bioactive field that is very healing and very nourishing spiritually and so on as well, combined with the acoustic sounds, in this case, of the gong. So we'll just play that and make this happen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on the Therify system. So you'll see it, the lighting up. So there are these gases that light up in there, and they're facing each other. And so what happens is that this creates a scalar energy, longitudinal energy, that creates what's called a charge compression field that enables the cells to be reactivated, essentially, and to be energized and create the healing in that kind of way. And then we're going to have the sounds playing, the isochronic sounds playing, and I'm going to be playing the gong here. So I'm going to actually go behind the gong and have the gong facing the client in this way. Okay, so I'm just going to turn on the Therify. Now, the Therify system can only be on for a maximum of 10 minutes. And so what we typically do is have the Therify on for 10 minutes and then have them off for 10 minutes. And so have the client lying here for 20 minutes in total. And in fact, that's the length of time of the soundtrack we're going to use here, which is a Sacred Acoustics whole theta non-verbal soundtrack. And so that lasts for 20 minutes. So it's a perfect combination. Now they have another version, which is the whole theta professional, which lasts for an hour or just over an hour. So you can have that for a longer session, but that doesn't go so well with the Therify system. So we're just going to demonstrate that. We're not actually going to do this for a whole 20 minutes just now, but it's just to give you an idea of what's involved. Okay. So we're just going to go around and turn on the soundtrack. So Jane, if you could just be, while we're doing this, just visualize, imagine some kind of healing outcome for yourself, setting your intention.